Hello, my name is Mary Ayala, and I am the Dean of Liberal Arts and Sciences here at Eastern New Mexico University. This presentation will be looking at the opportunities students at ENMU have for study or travel abroad. These are opportunities that you can take advantage of while you are here, and we hope that you will consider them whether you are a prospective student or a current student at the university. I want to point out that throughout this presentation, we will have a few quotes or blurbs from students who have participated in our study abroad opportunities. They are being voiced by student actors still here because most of these students just gave us their quotes in writing. So it's not their original voices, but it is their original words. So we'll start off with a quote from a student who studied with us while here at ENMU.
It was the best experience of my college career and one of the best of my life.
So a couple of things you might be thinking about are two. Why should I travel? And if I want to travel, when should I start planning for that? These are really important questions that you should be asking yourself. First of all, starting early will help you maximize your finances and your degree plan. That doesn't mean that if you just woke up this morning and decided you want to do this and it's, towards the end of your degree, that you shouldn't be thinking about it. But the earlier you decide this, the better you can plan for it. And by that, I mean, let's say you want to do a summer program, but you're used to having a summer job. Well, you can work around that if you know in advance that you will be traveling abroad. Likewise, you can make sure that you manage your degree plan in such a way that the semester abroad will help you complete all your requirements to degree. So we want to work on those things as early as possible. I would encourage you to choose a location that will enhance your cultural competence. Of course, I would argue that no matter where you decide to go, you will be enriched and learn from the experience, because getting out among people who may be different from you in a culture or a language that is different from what you are used to is only going to increase your capabilities as a person, your well-roundedness, and your ability to navigate an increasingly global world. This will increase your career marketability. No matter where you go, having global experience looks great on your resume or CV, and that's regardless of what you choose as a career. I can tell you that my own children are speech language pathologists in New Mexico and in other states, and they are bilingual. That has given them way more career opportunities. They're in high demand, and it has given them a very good salary differential because they have that added ability. So when you choose where you go, you may choose it for just having global competence, but if you're studying a specific language or culture, or there's a specific language or culture that would enhance your career opportunities where you live, you may want to choose your location based on that. This next quote that we're going to hear is from a bilingual educator who completed a doctorate in education and is working in that profession.
Well, having participated in the program in Merida 5 summers, I'm sure you have an idea of how much it meant to me. On a personal level, my life is enriched with Mexican culture, art, music, architecture, and history. My interest in international issues increased extensively, thus contributing to becoming more of a global citizen. On a professional level, the opportunities I had in Merida opened doors that I could not ever have imagined. As a basically monolingual English speaker, my experience in Merida was the foundation of my bilingualism and eventually led to my path as a bilingual educator. Linguistic and multicultural experiences afforded to me through your program contributed to my growth as an individual, and it significantly influenced who I am today. Thank you for being such a big part of that.
I would add that almost everyone that I know who has traveled abroad has said that it was a life-changing experience and one of their best experiences throughout their education. So that's just a plug there. I am a product of study abroad though, so I am preaching to the choir. What are our options at Eastern for travel and study abroad? Well, it's not one size fits all. Some of our students have certain obligations that keep them from studying abroad for long term, maybe a career or a family. That makes it impossible to do, some of the more traditional ways of traveling and studying abroad. So we do have the first option that comes to mind for most people is the traditional study abroad option that you can find at most institutions. And that is an even exchange for 1 or 2 semesters through one of our partner universities. While you're doing those kinds of exchange experiences, you can take courses that are in your degree plan. Some people will take a course or two that are just for fun while they're abroad. And some people even do internships while they're abroad. So we've had folks do internships in business or science or things like that while they were studying abroad. Another option is an ENMU faculty-led study abroad opportunity for credit. This has mostly been, but not exclusively been, the type of program that you could go and attend through our Department of Languages and Literature, and specifically our Spanish program, where we would take you for a month to study in another country where you could practice your Spanish in a native environment, interact with the culture, go on excursions. Often you could choose to live with a family, and believe me, there's no better way to learn another culture than by living with people who speak it, especially children. They're great. They're great people to teach you without you feeling hung up if you forget a word. There's also the opportunity to eat local cuisine, and you would get credit as if you were taking those courses here. Another option that we often offer here at Eastern are non-credit enrichment trips, and they're usually tied to classes or campus activities. Some of the typical examples of this are when our choir and our band travel abroad with students for maybe 7 to 10 days, and you get to do a very enriching tour of the location while you're singing or performing there. Here's another blurb from one of our students.
I traveled before, but always with my family, stayed in hotels and campgrounds, etc. Staying with a host family was a new and fascinating way to spend time abroad, and I've done it again since. It is by far my favorite way to experience a new culture.
Another thing that I want to bring to your attention is the fact that the New Mexico Alliance for Minority Participation Funding has money set aside specifically for STEM students, and that's students in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, who are traveling internationally for research. This money supports travel, housing, and other things if you are interested in doing a study abroad experience where you have the opportunity to research. And that's a very underused source of funding that could really make it very possible for you to do travel abroad. The person on our campus who is in charge of the New Mexico AMP program is Dr. Brian Pasco, and he's the chair of mathematics, and that is his email address up there. I will tell you, we've had very rich collaboration opportunities for the STEM fields. One of our professors, Dr. Yan, has been working with professors in Guanajuato, Mexico, and his students and our students have worked together on a research project that is fascinating. It takes wastewater that comes from here, our local dairies, and it treats it with algae to clean it up. Another professor here was then taking that algae and making food grade pellets for animals so that we had a complete cycle. Well, we found faculty in Mexico who were doing a very similar project on a smaller scale. Our students traveled there, their students traveled here, a couple of their students did internships here, and they collaborated on research that was submitted into a nationwide competition for student research, and they actually won first place nationally for the research that they did together. So that's very exciting, and we totally support being able to do things like that. Our traditional exchange programs, the ones that people are most familiar with the model, entail selecting a host university, and that host university can come from among over 80 partner institutions that are in our consortium, or from other partners who are not in the consortium, but we have bilateral agreements, one-on-one agreements with their institutions. The benefit of using this type of exchange program, as opposed to commercially available study abroad programs, is that you pay regular tuition at ENMU, which is very low compared to other programs that are available. Even more importantly, if you attend ENMU and you have financial aid, if you have scholarships, they're all applied to that tuition, even though you won't be studying here at ENMU for that semester, you'll be studying abroad. So your tuition is covered by any financial aid and scholarships that you already have. And if you alert them to the extra costs, they may be able to build that into your package. So you would pay everything to ENMU in terms of tuition, and the only thing that you would be paying abroad are things like your travel costs and your room and board and any spending money you might have, and making sure that you have health insurance and stuff like that before you go. That gets paid at the hosted institution. More often than not, our partner institutions offer you homestay as an option for housing. And that's always the best way to go. You get good home cooked meals. You get to live with a family that is local and gets to teach you a little bit more about both the language and the culture of the place where you're going. Before you go, you will choose courses or an internship, if that's what you're trying to do when you go abroad, that will fit into your degree plan. And we will have someone on our end and someone on the end of the host institution helping to select the courses that will help you graduate on time. The quote that you're about to hear is from one of our graduates who participated in study abroad, who is now the Director of Strategic Initiatives for HSI and STEM at Texas State University.
My ability to learn in a different language allowed me to engage with my parents more and understand how important it was for me to speak their native language. Studying abroad helped me understand that cultural fluency is beyond language. Understanding beliefs, traditions, customs, and practices helped me realize that cultural awareness is needed to be inclusive of those different than me. I had the opportunity to intern in Merida, so having the experience of engaging with those in the marketing field gave me an awareness of how business is done in other countries. Both experiences were beneficial in my long-term personal and professional development and solidified my commitment to encouraging my students to do the same.
If you should choose, instead of a semester abroad, an ENMU faculty-led study abroad for credit, normally we run those for like maybe a month in the summer, although we have at least once run that over winter break. Those kinds of options include a lot of things just beyond the courses that you're enrolled in for credit. So you will normally have language and cultural immersion trips. For example, I used to take my students every summer to Merida, Yucatan, and you're hearing some of those quotes from those students. So we would take trips to local theater, we would go to museums, we would go to Chichen Itza and Uxmal and the pyramids. We would also go to ecological preserves and see the flora and fauna local to there, as well as archaeological sites. We would also sometimes offer short-term seminars on special topics that include travel opportunities. And then we also offer opportunities to learn alongside our international peers with research or project collaboration. For example, during COVID, the pandemic, when most of the travel opportunities were restricted because people really couldn't travel, and also because campuses were closed, both here and at our partner institutions, we began to do virtual collaboration and exchange with our partners in other countries. And we still had our students collaborating with peers at other institutions on projects, research projects in, for example, psychology and sociology. And that was very enriching for people at both ends. Many of the students who were able to do that while campus was shut down are now inspired that they want to travel and visit the partner institution and meet the students with whom they collaborated. Here is a quote from one of our summer immersion students.
The 2 trips that I went on played such an important role in helping me deepen my Spanish language comprehension as well as my speaking skills. But more importantly, it broadened my view of the world, different cultures, and love for different ways of life. It ignited in me a desire to learn and celebrate other cultures. Studying the Mayan history, visiting historic sites, reading Mexican poetry and literature was simply captivating. I could go on for days about how much these trips impacted me academically and spiritually. But you said to keep it brief, so.
One of the things you might notice from some of these quotes is that students mention taking advantage of more than one opportunity. This student happened to travel abroad with us 2 summers. The first student, the one who has a doctorate in bilingual education right now, went 5 summers in a row, even as a graduate student. And the last student did both a summer exchange program and then went back and did an internship. It is not uncommon that once you get a taste for travel abroad and study abroad, that you find a way to make it financially possible to do it again, because it is that much of a life-changing and mind-changing experience. I do have students who go back and visit their host families 20, 25 years later and take their kids with them. So it's not unusual. The non-credit enrichment trips are often taken during spring or winter breaks. And here you see both our choir and our band traveling abroad. I believe that's our band in Ireland on St. Paddy's Day. So that's a great opportunity if all you can do is travel abroad for a very short period of time. What are the primary benefits of study and travel abroad? Well, first of all, it changes your life. I don't think you'll meet anybody who has taken advantage of this opportunity who doesn't list that as the first and best thing that happened to them when they studied abroad. Of course, it enhances your cultural and linguistic competence as well as your life experience. I've known students to study abroad in a country that speaks another language and say that they got so much better, for example, in Spanish in 1 month abroad than they would have in a few semesters of studying just a couple days a week. Living there, having to navigate local restaurants, public transportation, and everything else really gives you enough practice to solidify your language. It also expands your worldview. Travel abroad and study abroad helps you see your own culture through a new lens. You begin to see how other people see you in good ways and in bad ways. And it helps you navigate your way in the world with people who are different from you. It definitely increases your confidence and self-sufficiency. Almost everybody I know who has traveled abroad has become a better traveler and a more adventurous traveler in terms of seeing new things and engaging in new experiences both here and abroad. It is definitely a resume builder and a career booster. One of my students in the medical field pointed out to me that nowadays applications for places like med school routinely ask for an essay on international experiences. And that gives you a lot of points in terms of your competitiveness. There are optional essays for people who haven't traveled abroad, but she seemed to feel that the review process for admissions kind of privileges the idea that your interaction with people from other cultures enhances your candidacy. It provides an advantage for all graduate school admissions. It helps you discover new interests, maybe things that you didn't even know that you liked. You definitely build lifelong friendships and personal and professional networks, not only with the people at your host location, I have students from decades ago who traveled together for the summer, and it is such a bonding experience that they're still friends. They still have kind of mini reunions with the people that they traveled abroad with because they became so close. It could lead to travel opportunities in your profession. Very often, if your career is one where there's an opportunity to travel to other locations, whether they're here in the US or abroad, they will often select the person who is more travel savvy to take advantage of those travel opportunities. Then again, you may not get another golden opportunity to spend quality time abroad once you have a family, job, and life obligations. I keep reminding people this is one of the best times in your life to be able to take advantage of study abroad. It only gets harder and harder as you get older and have more and more responsibilities. This quote that I'm about to play is from an educator and mental health practitioner.
Studying abroad with you in the program in Merida, Mexico was a life-changing experience, not only being able to see cultural perspective in a country-to-country lens, but also shaped my cultural perspective as I worked as an educational school teacher for elementary students, but also my current profession in mental health and behavioral health counseling. Knowing that we all come from different cultures and walks of life is so helpful when working with individuals experiencing major depression, anxiety, bipolar, or schizophrenia. And this study abroad program opened my eyes to that concept. I am always grateful for that and you.
As I mentioned before, thanks to initiatives that were made possible by the pandemic, ENMU is now also participating in virtual international collaboration and exchange opportunities. I say they were made possible by the pandemic because ENMU was always well equipped and had the infrastructure for international learning opportunity, or excuse me, for virtual learning opportunities. However, many of our partners did not have that infrastructure. The only types of learning opportunities they ever offered were face-to-face. So the pandemic made it imperative for them when their campuses closed to build that infrastructure and build that foundation for virtual experiences. Some examples of what we're doing in terms of virtual collaboration and exchange: we have interdisciplinary transnational border issues. It's a class of 75 students and 4 professors from 4 different institutions in the US and Mexico. It's going on right this semester. Unison in Sonora, CETIS in Baja California, the University of Arizona, and ENMU in New Mexico are all collaborating, and students from all those institutions are working together on learning and on projects. In psychology, we have a similar collaborative learning situation where a psychology professor from Puebla, Mexico, and a psychology professor from ENMU are co-teaching a class, and all of their students are working together on projects and on learning and interacting throughout the semester. We have a similar program going on with a partner in Ciudad Juarez with our sociology professor. So a sociology professor from here is working with a sociology professor in Ciudad Juarez, and they are collaborating through our Canvas virtual learning platform and working together and doing some really exciting research together through this semester. I also previously mentioned that our chemistry students and the engineering students in Guanajuato, Mexico, are working together on water purification research. And that has been very fruitful. We've been working together for probably about 5 years now on that and have been able to get grants to support that work. Travel abroad impacts both the students who travel and their families, even years later. Here are some interesting comments from students who traveled with us abroad in previous years. The first one is from a pediatric nurse. She actually attended our travel abroad program as a child who was accompanying her parent. And she says, "I was never technically a student, but I learned things that I've never forgotten. I gained experiences that not many kids my age had. My cultural understanding and way I perceived people who did not speak the same language as me was changed forever." Another participant who is a developmental specialist at Native American Professional Parent Resources says this: studying abroad shaped my adult life. I sought many international experiences afterward, immersing my own children when they were born into all things cultural. We even put them in a Spanish immersion elementary school where they are all completely fluent. We've reconnected with another family whose parents studied abroad with you as well at our school. It's a small world. I reflect fondly on those memories and experiences and hope one day I can take my family to experience Merida themselves. Most of all, though, you don't want to regret the chance you didn't take. One of our former students was is a domestic violence counselor in Texas right now, but she didn't go because she was afraid to fly. And her biggest regret from her college years is that I still get mad that I missed out on an amazing opportunity because I was too afraid to fly. She flies now, though. Are you ready to travel? If you want more information on the kinds of opportunities we offer here at ENMU, you can contact me. Like I said, my name is Mary Ayala, and my email address is up there. Our ENMU International Advisor is May Reeder, and her email address is up on the screen. And I just want to play you one last quote from a professional who now works at Los Alamos Laboratories. Oops. There you
It
go.
was the best experience of my college career and one of the best of my life.
Thank you.